Call this meeting to order. Open session. Again, in accordance with the open meeting law, the board states for the record that this meeting is being recorded by NORCAM and may be recorded by other local media. Before we move on to the next, which is the allegiance to the flag of the republic for which it stands, I just want to make some comments and observations. First of all, we do not and should not be doing this blindly, as pledging allegiance to the flag and the republic for which it stands. And I know it's been sort of a routine and rote exercise, and for many of us, and myself included, sort of a habit since grade school that we just do this on a regular basis. But let's really think about and be reminded about what we are doing, saying, and pledging to. Local political organizations offers a scholarship for high schoolers to address what the American flag means to them.
Point of order.
And
Point of order.
what is your point of order?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Gilberto, reconvene an open session, notice of recording and pledge of allegiance. I didn't see any board member reports before here. I was just curious how we're permitted to make some comments right now outside of the agenda.
This is on the agenda, and you're more than welcome to make comments once I complete mine.
Yeah.
So
Anything you do somehow falls within the rules.
you're more than welcome to participate.
No,
And
no.
again, local
I think
political
what you're saying is
organizations.
embarrassing for you. I'm fine with it. I'm enjoying it.
Anyway, a local political organization offers scholarships to high schoolers to address what the American flag means to them. And it's an important and meaningful exercise. It's an annual reminder to all of us of the sacrifices that have been made, and very insightful for what the students have been making to us. I think what's important to understand is, here as elected officials, we all take an oath of office to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and when we pledge allegiance to the flag and the republic for which it stands, along with that comes the obligation to understand exactly what we're doing here. And the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments, have certain caveats that we're to uphold here, and Congress needs to uphold, the executive branch, judicial branch. And again, along with that comes the unabridged right. It's freedom of speech, freedom of press, the right of people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress and grievances. You'll be heard after.
Point of order.
The second amendment.
Mr. Chairman,
Again,
through you to Mr. Gilberto.
Excuse
Mr.
me,
Gilberto.
would you please stop interrupting, and you'll have your say. You'll have plenty of opportunity.
Are we permitted
This is what
to
we're
do
talking
this
about.
outside the agenda items?
This is in the agenda. Excuse me, and it's through the chair, not Mr. Gilberto. All questions, comments come through the chair.
So who's going to decide? You decide if you...
I decide.
You decide if you can do
You will have
X.
an equal opportunity to make any comments you'd like.
No, I don't. No kings.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it.
So again,
Mhm.
so the First Amendment, again, is freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the right of people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. We've seen, again, recently, just the right of people to peacefully assemble, try and express their freedom of speech, and again, what's happening to the impingement on the right of the press. The Second Amendment, a well-relegated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, and the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And it's specifically in there to ensure that people are able to protect themselves, bear arms, and again, to not only just insulate themselves from the harm that may come to their families, but also to ensure that they have the ability to stand up to the military. Again, what we've seen is armed insurrectionists pardoned and being defined as patriots, while we have murdered peaceful demonstrators, U.S. citizens, VA emergency room
You are
nurse
so
being
embarrassing.
defined as an armed domestic terrorist. The Fourth Amendment is the right against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall be issued but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing and place to be searched, and the persons or things to be seized. The Sixth Amendment, all criminal prosecutions, the accuser shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. The Eighth Amendment, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. The Ninth Amendment, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And the Tenth Amendment, powers not delegated to the United States by Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states and respectively to the people. And the 14th Amendment, civil rights and equal protection. Born or naturalized citizens are citizens and shall not be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process, nor be denied equal protection of the laws.
Mr. Chairman,
Now, all politics are local. And
Can
it
we-
begin- and it
can we
begins-
stay
it
on the
begins here.
agenda, Mr.
Let us-
Chairman?
Let us remain vigilant.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to
Let
stay on
us
the agenda tonight,
protect
Mr.
our
Chairman.
rights, and let us now rise to pledge our allegiance. But before we do that, Mr. Massey?
I'm good. No, you get a gold star.
So let us all now rise to pledge our allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, if there's no objection, what I'd like to do is take just a little bit out of order here. And we have a local business person who's looking to just get a change of officers and directors, so he doesn't have to spend the whole night with us. He's got a restaurant to rebuild. So again, let's move on to item number 11. On-premises restaurant, wine and malt beverages, Lobster Claw Seafood, Street Main Street. Vote to approve change of officers, directors, LLC managers, and vote to approve change of ownership interest. Mr. Gressick.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
You're welcome us back. Welcome back.
Just the reason why I'm here tonight, original application was, as I said in the first meeting, my dad owned the business for 40 years before I took it over. When he passed, the business was owned through trusts and stuff set up for the family, where my mother was trustee. My mother never worked in the business. She doesn't want any ties to the business whatsoever. So going through the licensing and such, she transferred ownership to me, so now I have 100 shares of stock for Lobster Claw. And just to get all the paperwork aligned with the legal documents, that's why I'm here in front of you guys today. So,
Good. Mr. Gilberto?
Just a point of clarification, so there was a deadline that Mr. Gressick had to apply by in December. I believe some of these changes were initiated after that application was submitted and finalized after that, so that's why it's lagging behind what you saw for an application now 4 weeks ago at the last meeting. We consulted with the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission with regard to what actions needed to be taken, and we were referred to the votes that are before you here this evening.
Any other questions of Mr. Gressick or the town administrator? Hearing none. Mrs. Moore, do we have motions?
We do. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Select Board approve the change of officers, directors, and LLC managers, and change of ownership interest for the on-premises restaurant, wine and malt beverage, and common victualler licenses for Lobster Claw Seafoods, Inc., doing business as the Lobster Claw, located 3 Main Street, North Reading, Massachusetts, as proposed in the updated submitted application, and subject to all applicable Massachusetts general laws, local bylaws, the approval of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission, and compliance with all regulatory department requirements.
Second?
Motion made, seconded by Mr. Wallner. Any discussion?
Thank you for all you're doing.
Yeah, thank you,
thank
Victor.
you.
Yep, all set? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Carry on. Good
Thank
luck with the
you.
project.
One last time around. Thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank
See you again.
See you. Hopefully your construction stays ahead of schedule.
far as continuation of public hearing, flammable storage license, Mr. Gilberto?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the board, this is a continuation of the hearing that we had taken up 4 weeks ago at a meeting of the board. I think everyone is aware there are actually 2 locations on Concord Street that are in question, one of which we had an application for already, 29 Concord Street. And then there's a second location with a couple of buildings implicated, for which we are awaiting a complete application for that property. In addition to awaiting the completed application, we are also awaiting the requested hazardous materials review requested by the fire department, and to which the property owner, business owner, is committed to do, but is not complete yet. So we are recommending that the board vote to continue the hearing, and that's also per the request of the applicant to a future meeting. And I believe a motion was prepared.
Mrs. Moran?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Select Board continue the public hearing for a flammable storage license for VPREP located at 29 Concord Street, North Reading, Massachusetts, to February 23rd, 2026 at 7:45 in Town Hall Room 14.
Second?
Motion made, seconded by Mr. Wallner. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Unanimous. Board member reports. Mr. Massey.
Mr. Chairman, just want to address a few things. Excuse me. I do see, and I'm told of some comments that may be in the paper or elsewhere. Want to remind many, as I have before, that these folks do not know me at all. It is missing a lot of content, or it is outright false. Their opinion of me is not the opinion I have of myself, so I've learned to let it fall off my shoulder. However, there is a gentleman in town, Matt Page, who has been really divisive, and lived here less than 5 years, and somehow has gotten his name and inside everyone's business. He's, if you think different than him, on a national politic level, he will write about you until dusk. And if you run a business, he will try to get that business canceled. We'll go around and talk bad about your business. So I just want to let everyone know that I am working on something, putting something together for this gentleman. I just want to condemn everything that he's done, and everything that he says is not true. On top of that, he doesn't have the courage to ever, I've hosted office hours, and this doesn't go just for this gentleman, Matt Page, this goes for a lot of people that may be right in the, I'll sign that after, that may be right in the letter, that still don't know me, never even shook my hand or met me once. If you have a problem with me, if you'd like to come and talk to me, I've had office hours for you to do that opportunity. We have public comment that I have fought for your opportunity to have more time to speak. Please feel free to give me the opportunity to respond to you, and then we can have a conversation about your thoughts. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mrs. Moran?
I do not have any additional reports.
Okay. You good too? And the chair is also good. All right. Public comment. Anybody present wish to offer public comment? Yes, Mr. Mackey.
Kevin Mackey, Adam Street. I guess since this is open to national politics, local politics, everything is local, it's actually well documented that the Massachusetts government, which is the Democrats have a supermajority in the House and the Senate, and it's well documented that they are the least transparent of all the states. And as we all know, the the audit question has now been talked about numerous times, that 70% of the people voted for an audit, and they have yet to have that done, and now Diana Giaglio has had to do another ballot question to try to get some more transparency in the state government. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great point, thank you.
Is there anybody online?
Not that I'm seeing.
So again, if anybody online would like to offer public comment, please indicate. All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Review of the town website.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I'm going to ask the Public Services Director, who has been working alongside the IT Director, the IT staff, and I think nearly every department head, to come forward, and what I'll probably do is just cast the website homepage off of this computer, because then I can broadcast it out.
You want the whole link as well, so you can show both, or you just want to see the new one?
I think just the new one and a quick overview for the page, since it has been up for, I think it's the second week, right?
Yep.
So let me just share.
So I'll just give some background. And there's two reasons that maybe three reasons that we have recently updated the website a little bit. I want to mention that in April of 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice finalized a rule under Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which requires all subdivisions of government to make their websites and digital assets accessible for people who are using screen readers and have other disabilities by following a standard called the WCAG 2.1 Level AA, which I'm not yet a full expert in, but getting to be better at. Towns with less than 50,000 residents have until April of 2027 to comply. So this transition is helping us get there. Also in 2025, we learned from our Civic Plus vendor that our old website was on an older platform that they were no longer going to support. So they have basically provided a free software upgrade for us and migrated all that content. Their newer software looks a little bit different. And in addition to having better ADA compliance, it also has more mobile-friendly buttons. So if you've seen the website since last Monday, the appearance is a little bit different. You'll see more like graphic buttons across the banner that's on the home screen, and then at the bottom of every page you visit. On there's buttons like we used to have to pay bills, to volunteer. I would highlight some things that have changed a little bit. The meeting minutes are now in a document repository where you can sort of sort by year within each committee that you're interested in, and see minutes all in one place, which is kind of nice. They're no longer on each committee's page, but they're in this one central location. Another feature that every time we're talking about the website, it's worth mentioning to people, from our homepage, you can hit the Get Town News button, and there subscribe to meeting notices, so that if you're really excited to know what the select board's going to talk about each meeting, at the very top of this page, Mike, there's a meeting notices link. So town's website or the notify me for North Reading Town Hall. So either of those links you can say, I want to hear every time the Recreation Committee, the Finance Committee, or the Select Board meet, tell me at least 48 hours in advance what's going to be on the agenda. So please take a look. And as you can see, there's also the social media links there. We might make a little smaller when we have a chance to do some formatting. And I will say a third reason we're looking, besides these two sort of mandatory ones, is that the town did give a capital project budget of up to $50,000 to do a website upgrade, based on the feeling from many that our old website wasn't sufficient. This step that you see is a no-cost transition before we endeavor to do any further upgrades. And this is the sort of baseline from which we'll evaluate what additional features we might need and whether it might be a benefit to switch to another vendor. So we're going to probably give this a month or two before we start collecting feedback, because it's still, finding the occasional glitch. And I'll ask if you're a visitor to the website and if you can't find something, or if something appears broken, please let us know so we can make it work as soon as possible.
Thank you very much.
I like the picture, the common,
Oh, thanks to Eric Evans, who donated that picture.
great.
Our old ones were very small, and when they got this big, they looked really pixelated.
Mr. Massey?
Well, I think the website came out really well. I've been poking around on it. I think it came out tremendous. Do you mind if I ask you who the firm is that might have completed this for us?
So we have Civic Plus as a vendor. They're very common in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
I'd say the most common. And they were already hosting our website, so this migration was free as part of our ongoing package, with no anticipated increased operating costs with what we have now. If we decide we'd like additional features for more ADA compliance or more, easier navigability, those might have higher operating costs.
That's an interesting comment. So this was free. Then why did we request $50,000 in an article for a website upgrade?
So at the time of town meeting, we did not know that they'd be offering this upgrade free,
Okay.
and we knew that their old product was not working well.
Okay.
So
So what are we gonna do with the money, Mr. Gilberto?
There's a further upgrade, right?
yeah, I would suggest that we maximize what this website can do. We still have a few features we haven't implemented.
For $50,000?
Before we spend anything, and then check if there's any gaps with ADA compliance, and make sure that we use any money we have to meet those regulations first. But if there's further comments on what we should be looking for, if there's website improvements people would need, I'm happy to look at what we might be able to do for free, what might cost something, and what might require a bigger investment.
Mrs. Warren?
Is the intention to migrate all of the data from the old website to the new one?
So they have largely done that for us. They brought over all the meeting minutes, all the web pages. They didn't bring our old news items because they considered those expired or unpublished.
Old news.
Yeah, but you should be able to find pretty much everything. And we have been looking, so occasionally we'll find a broken link and then find what it should be corrected to on the new site.
It seems that the meeting minutes for some of the committees they're just not there. Like, you can click on a link and it takes you to a blank page.
So
But maybe it was in transition while I was poking around.
yes, it could be that there's a broken link. It also could be that they don't tend to post their minutes because they haven't been required to. So all committees give their minutes to the town clerk, but not all of them post online.
And again, as far as the ADA compliance, obviously that's something that we need to comply with, and this isn't there yet. So as far as the appropriation, hopefully, I concur that, that should be the first goal, of getting to compliance. And hopefully there's enough resources available to do that, so it's great. But, yeah, again, our upgrade was overdue, and although I've been on dozens of other towns' websites, ours wasn't too, I wouldn't poorly rank it, let's put it that way. Compared to some of these other ones that I've been on, they're very confusing and difficult to navigate. Ours is not too bad, so looking forward to navigating it some more.
Yeah.
But no, and thank you to everybody who put the effort in to get it done. And I know it's a work in progress. Any other comments, questions? No? Very good. Thank you, Lil. Oh, what's that? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lou.
Now the fun stuff.
Free.
Review draft fiscal year 2027 revenue and expense plan. Mr. Gilberto and Mrs. Galvin.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to share a condensed version of the spreadsheet that was in your packet that will hopefully show up on the computer a little bit better. Bear with me one moment. And I'm going to turn it over to the finance director to just take us through a somewhat high-level update of our revenue plan. I just will call out that this document is updated from the version that was in the board's packet for the January 26th meeting, and it's updated to reflect a few changes, but most notably the governor's proposed budget for fiscal year 2027. So those numbers are now reflected in this version.
How do those new governor numbers stand? Are they going up? Are they going down?
They did increase, yeah, by a couple $100,000 in terms of the net impact. So heading in the right direction. We tend to start the process with a fairly conservative projection, not knowing what's going on or what's going to happen at the state level. And when the numbers come in a little bit higher, it helps for sure.
That's great.
So can I turn it over to the finance director?
You surely may, Mr. Galvin.
Can you see that okay? Greg?
I'm
Is
going to
that-
read it off my screen.
Sure, yeah, just help me scroll through. I'll do my best to.
Okay. So the top section shows you the tax revenue based on personal property and real estate taxes. It's our biggest portion of our revenue. So in the first column, the projected budget based on House 1 is the estimate that we went into the June town meeting with. Then just after October town meeting, our new growth was certified, and it was certified at 2.4 million. So it was considered about $1 million, just over $1 million higher than we had projected going in. So then when we move to 2027, we take the adjusted levy limit, including the new growth, so that's $63,138,000. We bring it up to the top, and then we add the 2.5% that's allowable by Prop 2.5. Then we have an updated new growth estimate for FY '27. A few weeks ago, when we were estimating, we were at 850,000, but the town assessor has gone through her permits and some of the actual builds and done her inspections, so she was able to pick up a little bit more. You can see it's primarily still 104 Lowell Road. The last two buildings are nearing completion, so they weren't ready prior to January 1, but now they are. So again, it's boosting us. It's $1,089,000. From there, you get your adjusted levy limit and you add your debt exclusion. So the $122,000 are just a couple of small projects that are left, I believe. I want to say it's the police station, then the debt exclusion for the middle high school, and then the last item, that $350,000, is just an estimate for the Chestnut Street Bridge. It may be short, but it's more likely going to be permanent debt. The project is nearing completion, so we will be able to borrow the full, it's about $3.5 million. So when you see a 4.5% increase on the total taxes, it makes people wonder, well, I thought taxes could only go up 2.5%. That 2.5 is the tax levy itself, but the debt exclusions can go up above the 2.5. So that $350 for Chestnut Street is a large piece of that 4.5% increase. Then as you scroll down, the next section is the state aid, and we have, the governor's budget came out last week, so we updated, maybe it was a week before, we updated those figures. There's a slight increase. Mike, do you mind scrolling? So,
Catch them all right there.
yep, it's just under a 2% increase over the prior year's state aid. So you can keep scrolling down. Oh, I guess you can't. You gotta go a page to the next page.
Oh, I see.
So then the next portion of our revenue are our estimated receipts. And again, the first column is what we went into June town meeting with. Because new growth was higher than we anticipated, in order to use our full levy limit, we have to lower our estimated receipts, and that's why you see that column at $1,799,000. We lowered the motor vehicle estimate so that our total revenues would still come up the same and we could use our full levy capacity. So when we moved to 2027, we raised that number back up and go into 27 with the full budgeted amount. And then most of the other revenue sources are level funded. And the investment income is only highlighted at this point because it's something we have to watch. Months ago when we started to put this all together, we weren't so sure what was going to happen with interest rates, and we always watch and adjust if we think something is going to increase or decrease. But at this point, they seem to have stabilized, so we're holding on that. So again, it looks like the estimated receipts increased 22.8%, but really it's only because we had to lower the motor vehicle estimate. We're basically level funded at what we went into June town meeting with. Question?
Ms. Galvin, penalties and interest, building permits, etc. Is that basically saying that we estimated to be approximately penalties and interest $225,000 and it came out exactly at $225,000?
No, these are the budgeted numbers. The actuals were different. In fact, the actuals were on, I believe they were on the printouts that you received in your packet. I just tried,
Yeah,
they were so
they're
tiny, I just
No.
took that column off.
What's projected budget based on house one?
It's what we projected our budget when we had to put together for June town meeting last
Okay.
year.
Okay.
We won't know the 26 actuals until this,
Okay.
till June 30th of this year.
Thank
But generally, they come out higher, and that's how we generate the free cash. Licenses and permits, I believe it's the 25 numbers that are on the printout that you have, especially the building permits, they look substantially higher, but the Pulte, all of Pulte was in that. So that
So-
really drove it up, so we can't budget that going forward because those buildings are done.
So the Pulte money is used as our operational budget every year, the interest that we get from it?
We don't budget it, but it ends up, when we receive interest on it, the interest is required by law to go to the general fund, and that generates free cash. But we try not to budget our operating budget based on that interest, because if we were to use those funds and we became reliant on that interest, then if we use the funds, say, for a building project, then we wouldn't have it going forward, and we'd have a high budget, yet no revenue to support it. So we don't budget the interest from Pulte. The building permits from Pulte become.
But this is revenue, and it says Pulte, investment income.
That line is empty, because we don't use it for a budget, but we track what we receive.
I see that line's empty, but it's underneath the one above. I just didn't know if that was one of the investment incomes, because if not, I'm asking, then what would that 785 be from?
The 785 is from all of our other revenue, or savings, so to speak, that's in our banks, that generates interest,
So,
non-Pulte.
so what other ones, what are those?
It's as we borrow for projects, and they sit in the funds sit in the bank while we're working on the projects, as our real estate and different revenue comes in, and it sits in the bank.
That's a risky strategy for an
It's a-
operational budget for a municipality. Like, that money should be going back into that fund.
It can't. You mean for Pulte? Is that
No,
what you
not
mean?
for Pulte. The other funds that you may or may not be mentioning. I'm just saying it's a risky, to cover operational is concerning.
No, we only budget basically a fraction of what we receive. What we really received on investment income that was non-Pulte was about $1.2 million. So, but a couple years ago, well, not, maybe 3 years ago, we only budgeted $300,000 for this line. The year before that, we only budgeted $50,000. We only adjust this line as we watch what's happening with the interest rate. So we really, whatever we're earning, we're budgeting below that.
I get that, but you're using that budget, those funds to cover operational budget.
It's an
True.
estimated receipt per the Division of Local Services, so you're almost required to budget it. It's on a recap sheet, it's a list, and these are the items. They expect you to budget it every year. If you receive
Maybe a
funds, because every year
conversation.
you have to report what you receive, if you receive it but report nothing, they'll ask, why aren't you budgeting that? Like, they monitor as much as we do. It's expected that you budget a piece of that. But we never budget, and they don't allow you to budget more than what you receive.
Are we budgeting a piece of it or the whole thing?
Only a piece. And we are not budgeting at all what comes from the sale of town-owned land. We could budget that,
Yeah, because we want to
but
get
we
ahead.
don't, right, we don't
wanna
budget
save
that
to get ahead.
because
If we keep using the interest that we're making on operational, that's not great.
yeah, it's like, it's a source of revenue. That investment income is a source of revenue, but would only use a piece. The surplus is what goes to free cash, so we are, in essence, saving that and tucking it away into the capital improvement stabilization when we're not using it for other things, but it's a standard practice.
And again, the vast majority of it is being put into the debt stabilization fund and other funds, basically
Yes.
savings accounts, rather than
No, that's
offsetting operational costs.
Right.
So we've always taken a very conservative approach
Hmm.
To estimating receipts in general.
Correct.
Like if you saw, I believe like the motor vehicle receipts were actually, say, 3.5 million, but we only budget 2.7. Every piece that we estimate is lower than we actually receive.
I get that, that's a great, I'm simply asking about our investments, the interest that they're making, not going back into the funds that they should be destined for, and they're going into town meeting. And that's, going into our operational budget, and that's not what town meeting voted for. When they vote to approve these articles, they vote to approve them for a specific reason, not operational budget.
But
And that's concerning.
But investment income has to go to the general fund. It has to be counted. You can't have it immediately go to a stabilization fund. It has to.
So our funds can never go up? So our stabilization funds, unless we put more money, they're not, the money that we
Right.
make can't go back into it?
No. The stabilization funds, that interest stays with those funds. But general fund interest, like from your real estate taxes, from the motor vehicle that you collect, from all these items that we collect, from your ambulance
That's not what
revenue.
you're crossing them, because now you're going back to motor excise tax, that's not investment income.
No. The interest, say we collect second quarter real estate taxes, we collect $15 million. And it sits in the bank. That collects interest. It's the interest on the rest of the revenue that you've received that sits in your bank. Like your paycheck, you deposit in the bank, you earn interest on that. So we earn,
Right, capital improvement stabilization fund, for example.
that interest stays with that fund.
Okay,
Stabilization funds, the interest stays with those funds. It's,
don't we have a general purpose stabilization fund?
that interest stays with that fund. This is,
So what goes into that
This
line?
is the cash flow, the interest that's collected on the cash flow as
On
it
the
comes
cash
in,
flow.
rather than just putting a check and getting nothing on it.
Right,
The
and
cash
going
flow
into
comes in.
operational budget. You're showing revenue, I'm sorry, what am I missing? It says revenue and it says investment. And we're saying, we all agreed, it's the interest.
The interest.
What am I missing?
Like the interest you earn in your bank account, you're allowed to spend. So per DOR, we have to,
Have to?
Again, it generates.
DOR requires us. I'm just wondering.
we have to use it as a piece, but
But we
we
don't have to use
under
all.
budget it so that we are turning money to free cash.
So we're generating
Okay.
free cash because of the stabilization and other savings accounts.
Yes, you're
Right,
generating
so-
free cash and you're using it to pay off operational expenses instead of completely going back into the funds.
We don't, well, if we budgeted that line at 0, we'd have to put that money into free cash. Like, it would become free cash
Okay, then,
and then go into.
so
you
then
could- you
shouldn't
could
it
put
be voted
in
on by
sa-
town meeting?
Mr. Chairman.
This is all over the place.
Mr. Gilberto.
We have to report our sources of revenue to the Department of Revenue every year. There's a category for investment income,
Correct.
and we can budget 0, but they're gonna ask us to report to them at the year end what actually came in. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if we budget 0, they're gonna say, how much investment income did you get? And we're gonna have to say $1.2 million it was, right? So this is something that we are required to report as a revenue stream regardless to the Department of Revenue. Town meeting votes the budget based upon a revenue and expense summary that's in the warrant every year. This is page 10 of the June town meeting warrant. Shows local receipts, it shows investment income, and it shows $785,000. So nothing's being pulled over the public's eyes. We're disclosing this when the budget's built. We're not spending principal, to my
Right.
knowledge. It's only income, investment income that comes in that we are required to report as a revenue stream to the Department of Revenue. We can choose to spend less of it, sure, absolutely, but what we do choose to build the budget on is reported every year in the budget.
What I mentioned town meeting for was not that you weren't being transparent to the public about this. What I'm getting at is the interest made becomes free cash, and free cash becomes the residents' cash to decide how they get spent with it. Not through operational budget. Operational budget's a separate article. Am I wrong or am I right? Because if not, that's what I've been told for the
No,
last
no.
year and a half.
Free cash does get voted on by the public to go into a stabilization fund, go towards snow and ice deficit, go towards retirements, go towards capital, all the different things that it goes
Okay.
towards. But at the same time, we have to be able to have enough funds to run the operating budget.
Oh,
So
if it's free cash, Laurie,
no,
Ann,
no, it's
though,
not, it's.
how can you
it's
say
not-
that, oh, we just need it to cover our
No,
expenses?
it's not free cash until after the year closes out and it's declared surplus. So it's not declared surplus until it's in excess of what we budgeted. At this point, we are budgeting it. So it is not excess, it is not free cash yet. It could be free cash if we said that that was $500,000, then 285 would close out to free cash and it could go into a stabilization fund if we really earned 785. But by the same token, we have to have enough revenue to cover our budget. If we didn't use $785,000 of investment income, we would have had to cut budgets by $785,000.
That's crazy.
This is how it works, this is how every community does it. It's required.
Every community does it? Really?
Because it's an item in local receipts. Every community estimates some portion of investment income. How much you want to budget depends on how much you want to cut your budgets.
I know. I just think that free cash should be determined, as I've been told forever, unless something has changed. That free cash, the people should spend it, right? Shouldn't they say, oh no, we want to go back into the stabilization
spend
fund,
it
or
After
like it
it's
seems
certified.
like it's
It's not certified.
Yeah,
It's,
free
they
ca-
spend
free
it
cash is
after it's
generated-
certified.
After the fact. In other words, once the year closes out, June 30th, and it's usually then after September 30th when all the books are closed, there's a surplus. That then gets certified by the Department of Revenue as free cash. Not until
I get that.
after it's all done. So, and that's prior year money, which gets carried forward later.
Right. Revenue in excess of what is budgeted. So, like I said, on that line, we earned $1.2 million last year. So, all of that in excess went to free cash. The entire Pulte earnings of $800,000 went to free cash. but we're not budgeting that at all.
Rather than putting it in to cover operating expenses, we're not. Just a portion of it. Most of it is not. And you have to account for it with the Department of Revenue. And again, we are very conservative in budgeting for it because of the fluctuations in the marketplace and how much we have in savings. We conservatively estimate, and therefore it generates free cash for us. If we were to do actuals and put it into the operating budget, we would be in tough shape.
No,
Because and then again, once that runs out and goes away, we have to cover the costs of the current level of services that we provide with
I'm
less
sure
cash.
You're grabbing money everywhere.
What's that?
Maybe there's an opportunity where I can call you offline and try and understand
Right,
what we're talking about a little more.
Right, I think if you look at what was put in the packet, I believe that has the column of the actuals for '25, and you'll see the difference between what we budget and what we really receive. The additional revenues usually, or has been to this point, the last few years, about $3 million. We try to be very conservative.
Yep, understood.
What? Gotta find where you were.
So the only other elements of revenue are the transfers from other funds. So we only have two items that are not specific to the municipal side. We make a transfer from the debt service stabilization fund of $1.2 million we've committed to the budget. Generally what we do though is we save our free cash from when it's certified in September, and at June town meeting we make a transfer to the debt service stabilization fund. We put the free cash in, and then so that we bolster the account, so then when we need it for debt service, it's available. The other piece that we use is a transfer from the cell tower. Recently, there was a new contract, so we raised this estimate by about $50,000. So in total, it looks like the revenue increased by just over 5%, but again, a big piece of that is the debt exclusion for the Chestnut Bridge. So once the total revenue is determined, this $88.8 million, then we move to the fixed costs. Mike, could you scroll to?
I have to go page by page.
Right.
again, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's two blank pages that I meant to take out and.
Is that where you want to be?
Yep.
Okay.
So these are the fixed costs that are shared, the shared fixed costs between municipal and school department.
Sorry. I'm trying to zoom. Is that the right spot?
Yep.
Okay.
So at this point, we did not allocate anything, any of the operating revenue towards capital improvement plan. In years that the free cash is high, like this year, we tend to directly use the free cash instead of putting the funds in the capital improvement and then pulling them out again. Essex Tech, the assessment for 2026 is higher than we expected. There were 3 more students than we anticipated. So following through with the same projection for 2027, it increased. So we're anticipating about $318,000 for an increased enrollment. The Northeast Regional School Assessment, same thing. We don't know how the opening of the new school, there was an estimate of a certain number of students, but they're also changing how they, the lottery. So we anticipate a higher enrollment and assessment on that. And then their school building project, the $224,000 is the actual debt that was on the schedule that we were sent from Northeast Regional. So those are highlighted in yellow because we're still waiting as the schools finalize their enrollments. These hopefully will come down a little bit. Then the debt service lines,
Orion, I'm sorry, real quick on Essex Tech.
yep,
Let's say $70,000 a year it costs. Does that include all transportation and everything? And
the 170 was for 7 students, and we believe it's going up to 10 or 11 students, so that's why, but yes, it's, the Essex Tech, it's supposed to include the transportation, the special ed, and all of the pieces.
do you know? Yeah, they must be just taking a different shop than Northeast, I guess, allows.
I believe the majors are very different.
Yeah. Okay.
At Essex Tech?
Essex.
Yeah, so our students are able to go to Essex Tech if Northeast does not offer the program they're interested in. So it's a limited scope.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And it was a jump in enrollment, in the enrollment as of October 1st, that we did not receive a report of until after town meeting. So it's something we're gonna have to look to adjust in this current year's budget in June.
And Essex Tech is expanding.
Essex Tech.
I believe Essex Tech is
Okay.
expanding student capacity, so
Okay.
just something to keep an eye on down the road.
Right.
And that, by the way, that same thing will happen with Northeast. They have a stepped up approach, I think, over 3 years to expanding their enrollment, which may have an implication on how many of our students are going to Northeast. It's going to be difficult to project, but that number, particularly for Northeast, is very much in flux, even for this year, as we try to figure out what the enrollment will look like.
Right. My current thought is that the Essex Tech is a little high because we jumped by 3 for 2026. I think I anticipated jumping by 3 for 27, and I believe the numbers we gave the other day, it's not going to be 3. But because Northeast is also so up in the air, because they also changed their whole lottery system, and we weren't using our full capacity there, so not only do we have a capacity plus now an additional capacity, I'm hoping between the two that there's enough there, that if I can bring down Essex Tech, even if Northeast has to go up a little. But Northeast said they don't finalize till April, right?
Their lotteries in
The
April. yeah.
lottery's in April.
And then there's a short window, I think, up till May 1st for enrollment to occur, and then that's when the assessment, I think, is actually fixed.
Right. So then the next piece is the non-exempt debt, which is based on our current debt schedules as well as an estimated borrowing for projects that are currently out on a short-term borrowing and projects we approved in June of '25. The exempt debt, again, is completely covered by a debt exclusion. So this amount, $5,016,000, would have a matching revenue source up in the tax levy portion. So again, that has an estimate of the $350,000 for the Chestnut Bridge. Let me see here. The little school is the actual debt service, and the short term, again, is an estimate. Then the state and county charges were updated from the governor's budget. The reserve for abatements is an estimate based on a number of things, but we've had more people enrolling in the senior work-off program, as well as an expansion of the other exemptions that we offer. And then the liability insurance is about, again, this is an estimate, it's a 7.5% increase. We won't have that figure again until March. The treatment plant annual maintenance is a new item this year that was typically under the school department budget, but we anticipate that the town center sewer will be hooked up, hopefully by the end of the summer. So next year, for 2027, this will be a shared cost. And then the $425,000 for the post-employment benefits is a standard item that is budgeted out of the operating budget. And then the
So-
last,
The treatment plant, we haven't budgeted anything for maintenance on the existing treatment plant that we had before we connected other buildings?
it was in the school department budget, and now it's being pulled out of the school department and put as a shared cost because municipal buildings will be
Connected to
hooked
it.
up, connected.
Fire, library, batch.
Correct.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's expensive.
Yep.
Those,
Senior center. Senior center.
teams.
Thank God we did those buildings.
So then the total shared cost is that $11,607,000. And then as you scroll down, you will see mostly it's the health insurance costs, retirement costs, Medicare, disability that are allocated. There's a school piece and a municipal piece for each one. The health insurance increase at this point is budgeted at 8.5% increase. We're hoping for a good number, but there's a chance that could be a double-digit increase, but we would probably turn to our PFA stabilization if we saw a sizable increase there. Any questions?
Off the top of, Mr.
Just
Chairman,
messing
through you,
with
what is our health care percentage? Isn't there like a, people ask how much percent the town
Oh, what's the split?
supports, is it
What's the
is it
split
88?
between employee and town?
88?
70%.
73rd.
The town pays 70%, the employees pay 30% in nearly every plan. And for retirees,
It's
it's 50/50.
50/50 for retirees.
Thank you.
Okay. You can scroll and move to the next page. So then, at the top of this page, you will see the total general fund revenue is the 88.8 million. We subtract the shared fixed cost of $11,607,000, which results in 77.2 million to be allocated between the municipal and school departments. The municipal share is about 33%, and then we have to subtract all the pieces that are the municipal fixed costs, so to speak: retirement, workers' comp, employment security, health insurance, life insurance, Medicare, our disabilities, and so the total municipal fixed costs are 6.7 million. Then we add back certain revenue pieces that are municipal only. The trash fee is associated with obviously with our sanitation budget, the cemetery accounts, the ambulance reserve, which funds part of the fire expenses, and indirect costs from water and indirect costs from Parks and Rec. So that results in a total municipal share of 22.7 million. The level services department requests, including the addition of 4 more firefighters, was $23,457,000, which results in a deficit of $685,000. That does not include adding back the substance position that is currently covered by a grant. One thing I do have to point out with that $685,000, one piece of the municipal increase is over $1 million in the sanitation budget, with the anticipation of going to automatic pickup. To offset that, you can see I highlighted and put in red up there that I increased the trash fee to cover that. So if we do not increase the trash fee or do not, and there's a possibility we could stay with manual trash pickup. Again, we don't know what that, our contract is up, we don't know what that cost would be. If the trash fee doesn't change, then the deficit would be larger. But that is a $685,000 deficit solely based on level services requests, and the only addition is 4 firefighters.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Just to further clarify with regard to the trash fee, we are using a projection right now. This board will be presented some high-level information to try to provide further guidance to see which direction we want to go in based upon high-level information. This is only one piece provided to us by Republic Services for budget purposes. That does not mean that that's the direction we're going to go in. It doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to be signing a contract with them, and it's likely that that number would come down through a negotiation. But we felt the only responsible thing to do at this stage of the budget process was to use the number they provided us. Again, how that procurement plays out has yet to be determined. And to be clear, the discussion about automated collection, this does not cover the cost of acquiring carts to do so. That's a separate capital improvement request that's pending before the Capital Improvement Planning Committee right now, and would be funded separately from this based upon the current projections. This is a first look at how this all plays out. There's a number of decisions to be made with regard to what type of trash and recycling program we would have, who the contractor is, and then how much of it we're passing through in a fee or not.
So then as we scroll down, the total school allocation, again, is about 67%. We subtract all of their fixed costs, and so their revenue available is $42,117,000. Their fairly solid request right now is this $42,237,000. So they're looking at a current deficit of $120,000. So that is, first pass, pretty solid in terms of, the governor's state aid, our new growth. So I think our estimates are pretty solid. It's the fixed costs that are a little more up in the air, especially the vocational school, and health insurance.
So the only comment I'd like to just add, Mr. Chairman, before we have further discussion, is that this is very different than what we have seen in many fiscal years in terms of the deficits between the school and municipal budgets. Most years the deficit is roughly 2/3 in the school budget request and 1/3 in the municipal budget request. This year that clearly is not the case. The municipal budget deficit is much larger. From our discussions in financial planning, a contributing factor that's maybe keeping the school budget lower is cuts that have been made in recent years to staffing to the tune of, I think approaching 30 positions if I remember correctly, but I'd have to double check that over the past couple of years. So that's very concerning for us to be at that number right now at $685,000 plus the cost associated with the grant-funded youth substance abuse coordinator position. There's a lot of work to be done to try to recommend balancing the budget, but I think the finance director and I both unfortunately feel that based on the reductions we've made in prior years to try to balance the budget, the impacts are going to be much more noticeable than even they were last year, which involved eliminating positions that had been vacant for a year or more. So I think the idea was to bring the board up to speed on this. You're seeing further updated information than you would have seen in the last meeting 2 weeks ago based on the governor's budget coming out. A contributing, I should say a related issue is that we have positions that are, becoming, vacant as the year goes through. People, move on to another position or maybe they retire. And, we are constantly scrutinizing those positions out of concern with how they might be able to be funded in a future fiscal year, which is as soon as July. So, for example, we have 6 firefighter positions that are vacant, either because they were included in funding in the fiscal year 2026 budget, or because of retirements that we saw as well, or a retirement, I guess. And we're about to move forward with appointments for those positions consistent with what the budget shows. The budget you see here would add another 4 positions in fiscal year 2027, which would bring us to a total of 8 on-duty firefighters per shift once those positions were all filled. And then a secondary piece is we have a bit of transition that it is happening or about to happen in the police department. So we have 1 vacancy due to a resignation, and we are expecting up to 4 other vacancies that will occur in existing positions between now and the end of next fiscal year. And so the finance director and I are intending to authorize hiring for the vacancy, which is 1 position, and then an additional 2 police officers due to anticipated retirements that are upcoming. And that's important for us to do because they can't serve as police officers till they are academy trained, and we need to send them to the academy. There's a timing that goes along with that, so we have a window to try to take advantage of that. So that is something we plan to have go forward. There are a handful of other positions that are vacant right now that are in various stages of updating job descriptions, advertising for candidates or about to advertise for candidates, and in some cases having conducted interviews and have candidates that are ready to move forward. I think the finance director and I are concerned with regard to that handful of positions because of what might happen on July 1st. And we know every one of them is certainly important, but ideally if we're able to adjust with vacant positions rather than eliminating filled positions and incurring not only the unfortunate exercise of laying somebody off, but also the expense associated with unemployment when we do so. So that's another factor that we consider. And the board it may be appropriate for a more extensive discussion, given how we're now knocking on the door of the fiscal year 27 budget process, to figure out how to proceed with some of those positions, some of which have been vacant, since before the beginning of the fiscal year. So we're concerned. I can't state it any other way with regard to what we're looking at and the pressures that are there. And it's not necessarily the math in terms of what steps could be taken to balance the budget. It's the impact. I think we could come up with a listing of recommendations, and the challenge will be how do the people who are impacted by those cuts react to that, and how do they feel, and that's where the concern comes up. So, thank you.
And again, in relation to the current open positions, it's our intention, in the not too distant future, to actually have a discussion amongst the board members as to what to do. And again, you've already indicated a couple of them in the police department we're going to move forward with because it economically makes sense and functionally from a programming standpoint to fill those, as we'll have someone hit the ground as other people are exiting, and we can absorb a lot of that cost in the current operating budget.
So to be clear, we're not creating additional
Right.
positions.
No.
What we're doing is trying to get people trained in advance of retirements that are upcoming.
Right. But there are some other positions that are currently open that, are cost setters, and that whether we have the ability or the inclination to continue those, in order to fill them, we're going to have to make cuts other places. So the board's going to have to make some difficult decisions and weigh heavily on the recommendations of the administration as to how we move forward on it. So, in fairness to those departments, we want to let them know and have open discussion relating to them. And for the public's consumption, it's important for everybody to understand, functionally, what we can afford and how we're going to have to start prioritizing programming and functions and services that are provided in order to live within the confines of the budget, 2.5. So we had projected this 2 years ago, that this would be a difficult year, and looking forward looks even more challenging. So we lagged a year or two behind the school department as far as being able to maintain level services. And so we've got a handful here as far as trying to put together a balanced budget, and then we'll have to make some conscious decision as to how we move forward as far as the services we're going to be providing. Mr. Massey, you had your hand up.
Mr. Chairman, back on December 2nd of 2025, there was a Youth Services Committee meeting, and when I look at these expense columns for the departments, this email makes me want to ask this question. The email was directed at Mrs. Marin and copied to Mr. Gilberto. Is there a reason that in the Youth Services Committee meeting that you are advocating for a department to submit a higher budget than usual due to increase in population, amongst other reasons? I'm a bit confused to hear you direct Lillian Hartman, and I'm unsure how you have the authority to do so, to submit the budget from 2 years ago and not 1 year ago. I believe that this is a dangerous approach to advise of town employees to submit a budget from an override request year, which I critically note was a 3-year budget request that was voted down by our residents. Can you let me know the reasons in which you stated these? I never got a response, so I'm just curious now that budget times makes me think of this email that never got responded to, and wondering, are we asking our departments from 1 year ago budget or 2 years ago?
Mr. Gilberto?
Mr. Chairman, through you, departments were asked to submit requests that reflected the needs as they saw it in their departments now and moving into fiscal year 2027, including the needs they see the community has, and in some cases strategic objectives that they may have previously been provided by the board in prior years. So I believe we reviewed that with the board in the fall ahead of submitting those instructions. I can't speak to the conversation that you're speaking to.
Oh, you have a copy on it.
I wasn't at the meeting that you're referring to, but nevertheless, what I can say is that staff are working with many committees to facilitate their requests. It wouldn't be uncommon for them to convey that guidance on behalf of what we provided to them during the budget process. Again, I wasn't at the Youth Services Committee meeting, so I can't.
No, I understand, but I guess just general curiosity, maybe I'm figuring out the process. Select board members can't direct department heads on what to do with their budget, is that correct? Or is that just from a you standpoint, or can we?
So that doesn't normally occur, no.
Okay. I was just curious. I didn't know if it comes from you or comes from us, so I was just a little confused. But no, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Sure. So I would just add that I don't know that it would be inappropriate for a liaison to convey to a particular board what the board discussed what this board discussed in terms of the request. I mean, I know that, there was, again, it was a short discussion, but there was some discussion here. But again, I wasn't at the Youth Services Committee meeting, so. So for us, Mr. Chairman, through you, our next step will be publishing the departmental requests in total, like we normally do in the second week of February. So it'll be the detailed breakdown of each department's request. There are 3 budget hearings that are scheduled for the month of March, on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Mondays of March, and so hopefully you will all have those evenings blocked off for select board meetings. Different from the same as the past from 2 years ago, different from the long-time trend. We do not have a Saturday budget hearing scheduled. We are instead choosing to have a budget hearing in the middle Monday between the 1st and 3rd Mondays of the month. And at that meeting, the police, fire, DPW budgets will be reviewed. And then I would suspect at some point soon there'll be a need to have a discussion in the workshop style that we had last year to try to project how we want to move forward with balancing the budget. What we didn't review is the page of requests that came in that are above and beyond level services. Those are additional things that are not even reflected in the budget deficit, and I guess I would say that those can be discussed at the budget hearings, but they are out there. There are items that were requested by departments, boards, and committees that are above level services based on what they project the needs of the community to be.
So again, Board members were provided a list of those additional requests beyond level services, just for you to look at. Again, based upon what department heads and administration believe are required to meet the needs of the community and programming that's offered. So again, we're talking an additional $1.3 million for that. Also, not included in this would be any additional costs for leasing costs for relocation of the senior center. So again, we've got a request for proposals out for that.
Yes.
And
That's a great point.
Should sell
we have
some,
we have no
we should sell
idea.
some town-owned land.
We have no idea what those proposals are going to glean at this particular point in time, but we'll have a better idea, later this month, hopefully. So again, it's just some additional costs that we're going to need to consider. And again, it was the impetus of this board to move forward with looking for temporary space for the senior center at the urging of residents and administration. And we're in the process of doing that. And once we get the information in from the request for proposals, that'll come before the board for us to take a look at and then figure out how we're going to pay for it. So again, a lot to consider. Some very difficult choices are going to have to be made. And again, when you look at the trash fee, again, it doesn't necessarily impact the budget up to this point because it's pretty much self-sustaining through the revenue. But if you're going to tell the public that we're nearly going to double their trash fees in order to cover the costs, the only way that we're going to subsidize that again is to cut programming and positions within general operating expense to do so. And whether we go, with the automated system or stay with a manual contractor who still does the manual pickups, will determine the costs needed to move that programming forward. So again, we've enjoyed below market rates for the last term of this contract as far as the trash proposal, as far as the trash fees, because of the contract we signed with JRM, who then sold out to Republic. So we anticipated that there'd be a significant increase, but the preliminary numbers are staggering. So we'll see what the actual marketplace brings us. But again, those are all things that we have to keep in the back of our mind because it's all going to come to the forefront shortly. But again, take a look at the list that was provided to you this evening or earlier in the day as far as the additional requests too, because that'll all become part of the budget discussion as the department heads come in before us and present their level services budget and then what they believe is actually necessary to deliver a adequate or more than adequate level of services to the community. So, anything to add, Mr. Gilberto? Or?
Not at this time,
No. Mrs. Galvin, thank you very much, and I know you have nightmares. I don't know if they were pleasant dreams, but I assume nightmares. You're talking about the numbers because I know you're at the financial planning team. Oh my God! But again, thank you for keeping on top of it. Thank you for updating the numbers on a regular basis. So the financial planning team and the board is made aware as to what the actuals are looking like and what our actual costs going forward are going to be looking like too. So we appreciate all the effort that you and your team put into this. You still got a lot more work to do. Yeah.
God bless you.
Thank you, Gloria.
Any board members, any other questions or comments at this particular point in time, other than how rosy the picture looks? I mean, red is rosy, right? But unfortunately, we're in the red. You all set there, Mr. Gilberto?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Discuss potential wastewater committee. And I know Mr. Wallner, you brought this up and we've had ongoing conversations with the chairman of the CPC and as we look forward to generating more revenue, this is something, an investment that may need to be made or should be made by the community in order to progress.
Yep.
So,
Michael, can you go to the next slide, please?
Sure.
We'll start there. So to get started, This slide, I think we all, on the select board, town admin, we all know what this slide means. And it's quite scary. If we look at, the red is our actual cost increase based on, as you can see this, 5% growth rate is 5% fixed. Municipal is 3.3%, schools are at 4.1%. Of course, we're locked into a 2.5% increase per year, mandated to do that. So if we look at the 2.5%, that's in the green. If you look at our actual cost, and some of you just saw like medical went up like 8.5%, there's some big numbers that go up. We are seeing a huge gap as time goes on in the future, including at the very end there. I mean, it's just staggering how severe our issue is going to be in the future. Even now, when we look at the first two columns, of course, we balanced out 2023, and 2024 was good, but as we get into 2025 and 2026, you just heard in detail that we're going to be cutting things already just to get the budget balanced. And that is a very small gap compared to what's going to happen in the future. So what the board has done, this is very high on our list of strategic planning. What we've done in the past is with CPC, we changed zoning on Main Street in an attempt to get some more commercial development, because the reality is only 12% of our tax base is due to commercial properties. We want that to be significantly higher than it is. So one attempt was to change zoning on Main Street to make that happen, and the response from the commercial build-out community was almost nothing. Actually, in some cases, it's gone the way it's closed down. So that didn't work out. Then we decided to try to go after full Main Street, Concord Street, North Street, sewer going all the way down. And people who are involved with that, I'll remind you that the end-up cost was about $130 million is what I remember it to be. We had an opportunity to connect with the Greater Lawrence Sewer Commission. It was a great opportunity, but when we did the return on investment versus $130 million, while it certainly did a good chunk to get there, it didn't take care of the whole $130 million. So that project was stopped. So we still have a problem. The problem hasn't gone away. And so the next step up is to consider more of a large-scale package treatment plants. Now, we already have package treatment plants in town, like Greenbrier has its own, Mark's Landing has it, Edgewood has it. We already have some here. We actually have that at the schools as well. But we've never fully explored doing something much larger scale on Main Street. And that's what this committee is going to be trying to do, is to explore that. And so I'll just read it for those who are listening in. Now we can go back to the other slide. The primary function of the North Reading Wastewater Exploratory Committee is to explore alternative modes of wastewater processing by exploring the viability of creating large-scale package treatment plants throughout the Main Street corridor and through the potential extension of the Andover sewer pipe into North Main Street if capacity is available. These efforts are focused on increasing fiscally viable commercial development on Main Street to offset the cost of the projects. If the solutions are identified, the committee will then provide educational opportunities for the town departments, committees, and residents to learn more before bringing it forward for approval at a future town meeting, if at all. Assuming the solution is approved, the NRWEC will then provide operational guidance to comply with Mass DEP before handing it off to a future North Reading Wastewater Commission. The committee I'm suggesting will be comprised of a CPC member, specifically Warren Pierce, since he's had extensive experience in this area and has already done some studies related to package treatment plants, a select board member nominating myself as being a motivated and enthusiastic person to drive this committee forward, town planner, town administrator, or maybe somebody that town administrator delegates to, the DPW director, and then 2 North Reading citizens. I'm up for who else we think should be on the committee. But the goal is, there was some criticism that we spent $2.9 million when we did the first sewer project, and what do we get for our money? I guess you could say nothing, but that's actually not true. knowing what the return on investment is a step forward for us to continue to take that data that we learned from and to see what the cost of this would be. Preliminary estimates, which are very preliminary and probably not to be held to, it wouldn't be 130 million. It'd be substantially less than that. And we already know that there is some town properties that we have that we could potentially use for this package treatment plant. But I dare say without it, I don't know how else we're ever going to fill that gap. So that's the intent of this committee, is to try to get that to happen, bring forward information, and try to get some consensus on moving forward if the plan makes sense to do so. So I'll stop there and take questions or comments.
Mr. Massey?
Yes.
Rich, great write-up. I know we've talked about it before too, all for exploring anything. Sounds great. The only thing I was going to ask is, can we include some sort of look into potential Concord Street, just being right off 93? Even if you throw it in as a sentence at the end, to include looking into Concord Street, I think looking at both of those areas could benefit us.
Yeah, so Concord Street, at one point NBC, opened up our ability to be able to go through there, but it came with a lot of liabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I'm just thinking about Main Street, seeing if we can make that happen.
Okay.
And then if we could, it could easily be another place on Concord Street or something like that. So I'm not against it at all.
No,
It's just, let's go with the initial stuff we have and let's see if we can figure it out from there. And then, of course, Concord Street will be next on the list. And again, for people with that coming from Andover, I thought we weren't able to get through Andover. Andover has a pipe going right up to our North Main Street. The goal would be to see if Andover, if they have capacity, would let us go as far as we can down North Main Street into their system without having to get into a major infrastructure. So that's a thought of that as well. It may not work out, but again, it's worth a try, it's worth an ask.
And then, I'm sorry, real quick question on the history of Concord Street and sewer to Wilmington. What was the concern there? Was it because their plant back at was overcapacitated, so they couldn't take us?
Yeah, it was a downstream thing, right?
The MWRA does not wish to expand their wastewater treatment system at all. They're considered to be at capacity, and again, a lot of infrastructure improvements need to be made with what they currently own.
Mm-hmm.
When we were in discussions with them to buy our water from them, they were very much interested in expanding their water distribution because they have
Mm-hmm.
tremendous capacity to take on other communities, and they were very interested in us. We were interested and did negotiate a deal with them to go with the MWRA through the town of Reading, and in return, they were willing to offer up Concord Street,
Mm-hmm.
1 mile, 1.25 miles, and that was it. No other further expansion into North Reading, and but again, that kind of evaporated.
Yeah. A little birdie as well told me that there might be something in the water contract with Andover that says, if we sign this contract, they would be open to discussing the connection of their sewer system.
No.
If it says discuss, I don't know.
No. As part of the deal with Andover, they had an obligation. They hold a seat on the Greater Lawrence Sewer District, so they have they're a voting member. They obligated themselves to help facilitate and allow us to join into the Greater Lawrence Sewer District. And they have kept their part of the deal, where as we were moving forward with the wastewater treatment project a few years back, they were advocating for it, for us to get approval, and we had basically near approval from Greater Lawrence Sewer because they have sufficient capacity to take on North Reading and other communities. So it was just getting the pathway to there, whether it be straight up 28 or whether it be up 125 in front of Merrimack College. We had all this, so part of the $2.9 million that we spent was not geological surveys up that way, but also in our community. So the money is not wasted either, because we have the geological survey in the town of North Reading isn't going to change.
Mm-hmm.
So we have all that data as to putting in wastewater treatment pipes and all the rest go along with it. But to Andover's point, they were they were required and agreed, they were agreed to advocate for our joining the Greater Lawrence Sewer District. There was nothing in the agreement that said that they had to take us on as additional capacities available in their community to go forward. But again, we've had preliminary discussions with them. They have some upgrading that needs to be done up in the Rattlesnake Hill Road area to their package treatment plant. We believe they have some additional capacity available. There's been discussions with another private developer who's looking to develop here in North Reading, a 40B type project, and was looking to tie into Andover. That developer had conversation with Andover. They had an interest in potentially allowing them, and it was up on North Main Street, to tie in. So again, that indicates to us that there is some additional capacity. So what we'd like to do is, talk with them more about having them assist us and come down 28 a bit.
Yeah, no,
And I think it would certainly show us and show the community that an investment in that type of project would have a significant return and pay for itself along with the infrastructure that goes along with it and increase the commercial tax base.
So, yeah, no, exactly what I was thinking is that if there's an opportunity to, and Mr. Wallner had a great point to see how far we can go without redoing their whole infrastructure. Kick those tires and see, hey, part of the deal is, what do you think?
So if we can take care of a portion of Route 28 heading north through Andover, that's terrific. And then the rest of it heading south down Route 28 and potentially out to Concord Street would be our own packaged wastewater treatment facilities. Look at the costs associated with that and what we think the return on investment would be. But in order to get to that point, we should either decide to present ourselves with some opportunities and information or just push the pause button again. Personally, I just think it's an investment that the town needs to make. We need to invest in ourselves in order to grow our way out of this deficit situation. And the only way to do that is to increase revenue. The only way you're going to increase revenue is tax collections through growth, new growth. So
There are other towns that have already gone this route, which obviously we would find out how they did it, how that's worked out for them.
and again, it's going to be, I think it's important that we do the work. I mean, a lot of it's been done, but let's bring it back forward and bring it to the public for another decision. But I think this board should take the lead on it.
Yep.
And because if we wait for others to do it, it probably won't happen. So I think time was yesterday, and we should move forward today.
Yep. Good. Okay.
So,
We'll put it on the future agenda for a vote on the next agenda to
I think so,
create
yeah.
the committee, is that where we're
Yeah,
at?
right, and then we'll vote that, and then we'll advertise for the two citizens' positions. And again, we already have a significant number of people who have expressed interest in the wastewater committee already on file, so we can take a look at that and start gleaning what the interest is. And I think anybody who has citizens' activity forms within the last 3 years should automatically be considered at this point and recontacted once we constitute the committee.
There was one recent one from someone who has extensive experience
Yes.
with wastewaters.
Yep. So, and there were quite a few people, members of the community that put forward a letter of interest in that, and again, with some great backgrounds, expertise, which would help significantly. Right, so we'll have that on next agenda item to formulate the committee and its charge. How's that?
Thank you very much.
Can you
So,
give it
thank you,
a
Rich.
catchy name?
What's that?
Can you give it a catchy name?
Do you like it? North Reading wastewater, storage,
Something
You-
that rolls off
you
the
wanna
top
catch
of
your
your
name?
Make a suggestion.
You wanna start marketing it?
WBC.
All right, very good. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you for
What do we
doing
got here? Legal bills? Yeah, legal bills.
this. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve legal bills for KP Law for the month of December in the amount of $846.75 as follows. General, $3,892.25. Labor, $3,366 even. 20 Elm Street 40B, $4,588.50 for a total of $11,486.75.
Second?
Motion by Mrs. Moran, seconded by Mr. Wallner. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Appointments, library trustees and transportation committee. So, library trustees, that, Mrs. Moran?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move to nominate the following individuals to the library trustees and associate member for the term to expire on December 31st, 2028. Edward Baya, Elizabeth Decker, Stephen Hemman, and Ahmed Rahman. I've attended the library trustees meeting and spoke with the chair and met Mr. Hemman, and the committee unanimously has recommended to appoint Mr. Hemman. He has a long, illustrious resume. He is a retired superintendent of schools and a principal. He's done a lot of work in education. He's eager to be a service of the community.
And it's one position.
It's one position.
All right.
Did you get a second?
What's that?
Did you get a second already?
No.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Wallner. Thank you for that. All right, so it's, we have nominations. Any further discussion? Hearing none, it'll be a roll call vote. And, Mr. Massey,
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. The name again?
Stephen Hemming,
Stephen Hammond.
Stephen Hemming?
Mrs. Moran,
Stephen Hammond.
Mr. Wallner,
Stephen Heaven?
and Chair votes Stephen Hemming. The other people who put their names in, we appreciate your willingness to step up and volunteer, and I'm sure there will be other opportunities moving forward, and you're still in the queue. You're not off the hook.
Tough to beat a former superintendent of schools, though.
All right, Transportation Committee. Mrs. Moran, you have a motion, and Mr. Wallner is the liaison.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move to nominate the following individuals to the Transportation Committee as a full member for a term to expire December 31st, 2027. Alexis Arsenis, Edward Bayo, Sebastian Masiello, Nazanin Morsahibi, Paul Sanger, and Michelangelos Saparlis.
Motion
Second.
made, seconded by Mr. Wallner. Mr. Wallner?
Yep. And then, as everyone knows, Lillian Hartman really takes the lead in the Transportation Committee. She discussed with me about Sebastian Masiello being a good choice for this committee. The wonderful thing about what's going on with the Transportation Committee is they have a lot of volunteers who want to do the work, which is really a wonderful thing to see happen. It's a really good thing. So Lillian says Sebastian Masiello, I say Sebastian Masiello.
Thank you. Any further discussion of the nominations? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Mr. Massey,
Sebastian Masiello?
Mrs. Moran,
Sebastian Masiello.
Mr. Wallner,
Sebastian Masiello.
and the chair is Sebastian Masiello. Sim's a great guy. Yeah. Very good. We appreciate, again, everybody stepping up. And to your point, Mr. Wallner, the Transportation Committee has done a fantastic job. Kind of Lil's guidance and direction too, but in coordination with the senior center, it's really working well.
Yeah.
And it's busy. All right, meeting minutes, review and approve, just a few.
That's a lot.
Just one set of minutes for approval. And there should be a motion.
All right.
And then unfortunately, the
Wait.
on task of reading, yes.
3, 4, 5 pages? Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the regular session minutes for the January 12th, 2026 meeting.
Second?
Seconded by Mr. Wallner. Any discussion?
This
Hearing
is,
none. Oh, sorry.
This is as amended?
I
Yes.
believe your amendments were included, yes.
Sorry, I don't think the power strip was working or something, but,
Yes, I
wasn't
have
able to-
the,
thank you.
they're noted where the amendments are, if you want
I
to.
trust you. Thank you.
Very good. So on the main motion, all All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous.
Then, Mr. Chairman, through you, the next action would be to read acknowledgement of the board's actions reviewing executive session minutes in response to a request. It'll be quite a lengthy bit to be read, unfortunately. And I'll just note, from the open meeting law guide, the result of the review that the board conducted at its last meeting in executive session must be announced at the following meeting, which is why it needs to be read. So just to clarify that.
And if you want, I'll run out for coffee and come back in time. No.
It's 9:30, I don't think anything. I think you're just gonna have to suffer through it. So acknowledgement of review and release the following executive session minutes dated as the purposes of the executive session have expired. January 8th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. March 3rd, 2024, exemption 3, collective bargaining for MCOP, DPW, and library. March 18th, 2024, exemption 2, town administrator. March 18th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. April 22nd, 2024, exemption 2, town administrator. April 22nd, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. May 6th, 2024, AM, exemption 2, town administrator. May 6th, 2024, PM, exemption 2, town administrator. May 6th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. May 13th, 2024, exemption 3, opioid litigation. May 20th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. July 16th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. July 24th, 2024, exemption 1, complaint charges. August 19th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. August 23rd, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. September 9th, 2024, exemption 2, town administrator. September 9th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. September 30th, 2024, exemption 2, town administrator. September 30th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. October 21st, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. November 4th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. November 18th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. December 2nd, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. December 16th, 2024, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. January 6th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. January 23rd, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. December 3rd, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. December 25th, 2025.
Excuse me, February?
I'm sorry?
February.
I'm sorry.
So it's February
February.
3rd.
February,
Would you like a break?
You're bound to make a
I'm good.
If you
Feb-
should, if you'd like a break, you can break it up.
February 3rd, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. February 25th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. March 3rd, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. March 17th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. March 17th, 2025, exemption 3, litigation for MTA zoning. April 7th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. April 7th, 2025, exemption 3, collective bargaining for MCOP. May 5th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. May 19th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. June 2nd, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. June 2nd, 2025, exemption 3, collective bargaining for fire. June 16th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. July 21st, 2025, exemption 2, non-union employees. July 21st, 2025, exemption 3, collective bargaining library. July 21st, 2025, exemption 3, collective bargaining MRAS. July 21st, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. August 18th, 2025, exemption 3, litigation for opioid. August 18th, 2025, exemption 6, 9 Mill Street. August 18th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. September 15th, 2025, exemption 6, 9 Mill Street. September 15th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. September 29th, 2025, exemption 6, 9 Mill Street. September 29th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. October 20th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. November 3rd, 2025, exemption 6 from 9 Mill Street. November 3rd, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. November 11th, 2025, exemption 7, executive session meeting minutes. And December 22nd, 2025, exemption 6 from 9 Mill Street.
So that was November 17th, exemption 7, not 11th. Right?
I'm sorry?
No, I think it's November 17th, not November 11th, I believe.
September,
Next to last one.
November 17th.
Yeah, thank you.
Acknowledgement of review and to continue to withhold the following executive session meeting minutes as the purposes of such executive sessions have not expired and continued non-disclosure is still warranted. January 8th, 2024, exemption 3 litigation, Baker. February 12th, 2024, exemption 3 collective bargaining, health insurance. March 4th, 2024, exemption 3 collective bargaining, health insurance. April 1st, 2024, exemption 3 collective bargaining, MCOP. May 13th, 2024, exemption 3 collective bargaining, DPW union. May 20th, 2024, exemption 3 collective bargaining, MCOP and fire. June 27th, 2024, exemption 3 collective bargaining, MRAS. July 10th, 2024, exemption 3 collective bargaining, MCOP. October 21st, 2024, exemption 3 collective bargaining, fire. November 4th, 2024, exemption 3 collective bargaining for fire. December 2nd, 2024, exemption 3 collective bargaining, MCOP. January 6th, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining for the library. January 23rd, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining, MCOP. February 3rd, 2025, exemption 6 from 97 Main Street. February 6th, 2025, exemption 6 from 97 Main Street. February 25th, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining for health insurance. February 25th, 2025, exemption 6 from 97 Main Street. March 3rd, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining for health insurance. March 3rd, 2025, exemption 6 from 97 Main Street. March 6th, 2025, exemption 6 from 97 Main Street. And March 17th, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining for health insurance. March 25th, 2025, exemption 3 litigation for opioids. March 31st, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining for health insurance. April 7th, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining health insurance. April 14th, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining health insurance. May 19th, 2025, exemption 6 for 68 Winter Street. June 2nd, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining for the library. June 2nd, 2025, exemption 6 for 97 Main Street. June 9th, 2025, exemption 6 for 97 Main Street. July 3rd, 2025, exemption 3 litigation or public services. July 10th, 2025, exemption 3 litigation or public services. July 15th, 2025, exemption 3 litigation or public services. July 17th, 2025, AM, exemption 3 litigation for public services. July 17th, 2025, PM, exemption 3 litigation for public services. July 21st, 2025, exemption 3 litigation or public services. August 18th, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining for MCOP. August 18th, 2025, exemption 6, 166 Chestnut Street. September 15th, 2025, exemption 3 litigation for public services. September 15th, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining, MCOP and fire. November 17th, 2025, exemption 3 litigations for public services. November 17th, 2025, exemption 6 from 97 Main Street. December 8th, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining for police lieutenants. December 8th, 2025, exemption 3 collective bargaining for MCOP. December 8th, 2025, exemption 3 litigation for public services. December 8th, 2025, exemption 6 from 97 Main Street. December 8th, 2025, exemption 6 for Riverside Drive parcel. December 22nd, 2025, exemption 3 for collective bargaining, MCOP. And December 22nd, 2025, exemption 6 for 97 Main Street.
Thank you. Shut it up. All right, you can take a hit of the water bottle now if you'd like.
Do we have to do so many at once?
All right, Town Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, my report included the spreadsheet that we received from the conservation agent outlining information we received regarding requests to buy town-owned land. The board may remember we voted to refer those to the process last summer. There was some information that had not come in, so we gave departments, boards, and committees one more opportunity to provide their comments, which are summarized in that spreadsheet. I included it for the board to conduct an initial review of the information because there's many parcels and a lot of feedback that came in. And that's in advance of a future board discussion where the board could take initial action with regard to parcels that might be able to be auctioned off or otherwise disposed of. Secondly, elevator and air conditioning improvements at Flint Memorial Library are underway with anticipated completion dates of June 1st. Buckley Elevator was awarded the contract for the library elevator work in the amount of $441,134, and we continue to work with our insurer regarding potential coverage. The Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities has approved the addition of subsidized housing units to our inventory. These are located over at Martin's Landing. We currently stand at 9.54%, or 27 units short of 10%, which is the threshold for safe harbor from Chapter 40B housing developments. And finally, as allowed under state law, I've authorized deficit spending for snow and ice removal. Our deficit is currently approximately $500,000, and that's before we calculate from this past weekend's snowfall. And just for those who are watching and may not know, we have a couple of components to how we pay for snow and ice removal. First is an annual operating appropriation in the town budget of $175,000, and then we have a projection that we plan for funds that are necessary in excess of that. And at one point in time, that was on the revenue plan that you saw earlier in the evening, but now we've been generally using free cash to pay for that overage, depending upon what the amount is. And so right now we're carrying that allowance of approximately $500,000, although we'll need to increase it based upon where the winter ends. So something for us all to be aware of. Certainly I'm sure we're not surprised at this point in time. We had already incurred a number of expenses relative to smaller events before the large storm at the end of January. We'll continue to address snow and ice removal. The DPW has done a great job of trying to keep up with the removal. And just for the benefit of the public, the first thing that they do is try to, with contractors and with our own employees, get the roads open, and then usually after the storm has ended, they are widening roads, and then as we get into the second day and third day after, they're addressing intersections and sidewalks as well on the prescribed routes that we follow. So we thank the public's patience as we go through that process. We also thank the public for your assistance, particularly with shoveling out fire hydrants in your neighborhood. If you're able to shovel out a fire hydrant in front of your own home, please do so. If you're aware that there's a neighbor that maybe has a hydrant in front and they haven't shoveled it or they're not able to, we encourage you to assist them. And that concludes my comments for this evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and again, I want to apologize for all the new business, not again complimenting, not mentioning, but complimenting the Department of Public Works and Public Safety officers for their work during the storms. And again, as we traverse the North Shore here, North Reading does do a fantastic job compared to other communities, and we really greatly appreciate it. Again, it's the last few weeks have been a real challenge with the cold weather, the snowfall rates that we've had. They've done a great job. Very challenging. We greatly appreciate all their efforts, and please convey that to Joe and Chris and the crew, all right? Thank you. What else do we have here? Strategic planning meeting. We need to continue our strategic planning meeting. We need to try and see if we can come to a date where we can all make it again. And again, I also neglected to mention that Mr. Studo was out of town, and his flight was delayed, and he wasn't due in until 7:45, so there wasn't probably was not going to be an opportunity for him. He was going to try to link in and on the Zoom, but obviously, weather conditions being what they are, delays in flights, wasn't able to make it this evening. We appreciate the effort that you put into trying to get here. And acknowledge that I did notify myself and the town administrator. So, as far as dates, what are we thinking about? So we're gonna be a midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, we do have, in March, the first 3 weeks of March, we'll have Monday meetings with the budget hearings going on. I don't know if we're looking for another evening one of those weeks, or
What's the feeling of consensus? I mean, I love meeting with you people and spending quality time. But again, the first session we had was, I thought, very productive and again targeted towards looking at what our immediate concerns might be and goals might be, and I think a continuation and trying to bring it to some closure would be good, particularly in light of timing as far as the budget goes.
For me, any of the Wednesday or Thursdays.
How's the 26th sound? It's like perfect for me.
I cannot do Thursday until late in the evening.
So like 9 p.m. to midnight would be good for you? All right, so those,
7:45 is their release date, on a Thursday.
on Thursday, okay, so Wednesdays?
Wednesday might be,
Wednesdays are bad for me.
Wednesdays are better.
You'll have to check with Vincenzo too, but
How does Tuesday the 31st sound?
What, March?
Yeah.
well, that's a great point. There's actually an extra week in March, so even a Monday could be a possibility. I didn't notice that. There's a fifth Monday,
Do Monday the 30th.
Monday the 30th?
or for that matter, the 23rd as well.
Give us a
I can't
week
do-
break.
I can't do 23rd.
Okay, yeah, 30th, maybe that would make sense.
all right,
The 30th?
so let's tentatively put in March 30th.
Works for me.
Great.
Well, actually, that's gonna be 4 weeks in a row. 23rd of February to the 16th of March.
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock. So good, Michael?
6 o'clock, okay, and we'll do, we'll most likely be here if we're not at the police station, but we would be in room 5 like we were last time. It seemed to work pretty well with the technology, and try to not be in this room, given its size. And we'll arrange for dinner for the board members as well.
But if you could just forward that to Vincenzo,
Sure.
hopefully it works for him.
30th at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Then either at the police station or room 5. We'll let you know.
So we have a meeting the 2nd, 9th, the 16th, and then the 30th and the 6th.
Let's see.
Don't forget February 23rd too.
So we have the
There's a meeting on the 23rd?
Yeah.
Second.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yes, our next meeting is February 23rd, 2 weeks from tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at March.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Right,
have
so-
1 week off.
Right, so we have to.
So February 23rd, March 2nd.
March 9th.
March 9th.
and then
March 16th.
March 9th, March 16th.
Not March 23rd, March 30th.
March
And
30th.
then the 6th.
Yeah.
And I've sent that to Mr. Studo, sort of hoping I might get
I
an
was
answer.
looking
Two of
at
those
the
dates I'm
different
coming in
months.
from
And
Rio.
then April.
So on the 2nd and the 9th, I'll be out of town. So
Oh, I should,
that one.
I know,
Yeah.
while we're talking, there is some conversation I've had with the chair about the March 2nd hearing, because there's a number of community-based budgets that will be discussed. So for example, elder services, the library, parks and recreation, and the possibility of having that meeting in the distance learning lab in anticipation of a larger crowd. Even if we don't, fill that room, just having some more seating for everybody and maybe make it a little bit more comfortable. So we'll work to see if the room's available, but that's a possibility. So not the next meeting, but the meeting after. We'll be doing that.
You gonna be out of town anyway?
Be out of town.
Well, then you don't need a seat. There's one open seat.
We would do it hybrid, you know,
Yeah.
so that you could sign in.
Just so I can listen in.
Sure.
Very good. All right. Thank you all. Next, one more
If we could-
motion.
I wonder if we can get an answer.
Over Vincenzo?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mr. Massey. Any further discussion?
Don't call yet.
What?
Pause button.
Okay, should be fine.
Should be fine.
We'll confirm tomorrow.
Okay, we'll confirm tomorrow. All right, very good. So on the motion to adjourn, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, unanimous. Thank you all.